The following section will cover the sensors used in this engine. First, we will cover the engine sensors listed here. The fuel rail pressure sensor is located in the fuel rail. The ECM uses this sensor to determine the fuel pressure in the rail. An OEM-mounted turbocharger compressor intake pressure temperature sensor located in the intake piping before the turbocharger is used by the ECM to determine air pressure. This pressure temperature sensor reading is used by the ECM for engine protection in higher altitudes and temperatures. The intake manifold pressure temperature sensor is a combination sensor located in the intake manifold. The intake manifold pressure input is used for air-fuel control. The ECM uses the intake manifold temperature input for engine protection and for fan clutch control. The engine camshaft speed position sensor is located on the front gear cover. The sensor's primary function is to determine the engine's position. In the event of a malfunction of the crankshaft speed position sensor, the camshaft speed position sensor will also provide engine speed to the ECM. The engine crankshaft speed position sensor is mounted on the engine's front gear cover. The sensor's primary function is to determine the engine's speed. The sensor has a secondary function in determining engine position in the event of a failure of the engine camshaft speed position sensor. The turbocharger speed sensor is mounted in the turbocharger. The sensor works with the intake manifold pressure temperature sensor to calculate the amount of compressed air being produced by the variable geometry turbocharger and adjust the turbocharger actuator to produce the required boost pressure. This is required for overspeed protection of the turbocharger. The engine coolant temperature sensor is located at the front of the cylinder head, near the thermostat housing. The input from this sensor allows the ECM to determine the coolant temperature. Coolant temperature input is used for controlling the operation of the fan, varying the fueling for starting, controlling injection timing, and the engine protection system. This engine requires an OEM-installed engine coolant level sensor. The engine oil pressure switch is installed on the top of the front gear cover. This switch indicates the presence of oil pressure and is used as an input to the engine protection system. The crankcase pressure sensor is located in the rocker lever cover on the engine. This sensor allows the ECM to monitor pressure within the crankcase and is used to determine crankcase filter restriction. This engine requires a water and fuel, or WIF, sensing feature. The WIF sensor communicates with the ECM through the OEM harness and will log a fault code if the WIF sensor detects water or if it is not connected. The OEM must connect the WIF sensor to the engine harness. The EGR temperature sensor is located in the EGR crossover tube elbow just before the EGR valve. The EGR differential pressure sensor is located on the air intake connection behind the EGR valve. The sensor is used by the ECM in conjunction with the EGR pressure sensor to calculate the volume of recirculated exhaust gases that enter the intake manifold from the EGR valve. The exhaust gas pressure sensor measures exhaust gas pressure in the exhaust manifold. This information is used by the ECM for EGR valve operation and VGT operation. The variable geometry turbocharger (VGT) actuator has an internal function of monitoring the position of the shroud inside the turbocharger. Insight will display this position as a variable geometry turbocharger (VGT) actuator position sensor reading.